Hello and welcome to the Raw preview. I'm Michael Sidgwick and I'm joined by Andy Murray and Ben Roy Turner to preview everything that awaits us in the aftermath of Hell in a Cell. But before we begin, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. We preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the Wednesday Night War, pay-per-views, we hold wrestler interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete, of course, with a bloody good quiz on wrestle culture. Now, gents, can you remember when you were scared of The Fiend and not for The Fiend?
No, I cannot remember when I was scared of The Fiend because I am a grown man. Yeah, man, what a show we're coming off, eh? What an absolute show that was. That was one of the most hilariously entertaining, ridiculous train wrecks of a pay-per-view I have ever seen, with maybe the worst modern main event of all time. Like, I say of all time. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved every minute. But that thing was terrible. Yeah, perversely. That thing was terrible.
I mean, it's no Kozlov Triple H, but that was like, why would you kill The Fiend? Why would you just go, oh, this is the good thing that everyone likes?
Because they're scared of going all in.
It's Halloween. It's spooky. The rabbit got killed in the thing. No, just kill him.
The worst thing about this for me, and we'll discuss what awaits The Fiend and what they should do to correct the course imminently, but there are several possibilities here, and all of them are like harrowingly sort of viable. Either they've just bottled it and they've decided, we should probably strengthen Seth Rollins, even though he's a busted flush as a babyface. So either they've bottled it, and the first pay-per-view match of a series tends to go down like this. Not one involving the bloody Fiend, but there you go. Or Saudi Arabia have said, well, we need that match, or we would like that match as well, so they couldn't possibly do a conclusive finish. Or perhaps Fox have intervened and said, well, you know what, we would like this, or we would like the Fiend character on our show as well. Therefore, the Universal title has to stay with Seth Rollins on Raw. But yeah, a hideous main event, completely unanimously rejected. What does WWE do next, Andy Murray?
Hopefully follow up with the worst Raw of the year, because I just want to be entertained. I just want the hilarious train wreck that WWE can be its absolute worst. But in all honesty, I think the Raw will be a very competent show.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not. It has been mostly competent since Paul Heyman came in. We've seen the good and bad of him, particularly in recent weeks with all the cucking angles, which we'll get to. But as far as The Fiend goes, man, short of just having him disappear for like a month, I don't really know what there is that you can do. You pointed out in the news this morning, Michael, that the Fiend did seem to have a bit of crowd support even towards the end. People were chanting, don't restart the match and so forth shortly after the bollocks finish, suggests to me that it's not a total lost cause with the fella. I mean, to me, the answer is one of two things, and they're both extreme. Number one, he goes missing for a month. Number two, he wins the belt in 10 seconds tonight. But even then, why have you gone through the song and danced the night before to get to that point?
Already diminished in my view. What do they do, Ben Roy Turner?
You've got to give the belt to him or something like that, because they're just killing the Hell in a Cell for a start. Like last year, it was a complete failure. This year, a failure. Either I think The Fiend is on the show and he just beats up Seth, or we're going to get one of these weird little skits when he's in the funhouse and he just kills all his little toy friends, and then that's him gone for a little bit. He just literally throws his toys out the pram, and then you just don't see him for a bit. I don't really see how you can take this match after he beat him with a giant hammer, and then then Seth got disqualified for hitting him with a hammer. It's just, I'm really confused why they did this and how they've just ruined it. But I think Seth is going to be like, I burn it down, and then we'll either get a toy segment or he'll just appear and choke him again.
You could almost write Seth Rollins' promo tonight word for word, beat for beat. Can you, man? I didn't know if I was going to survive, but in the end, I burned it down.
Survived and prevailed. What's strange about this is now the only good option is that The Fiend, of all people, get some kind of yes movement to get behind this broken toy. Ridiculous.
Imagine him coming down the ramp in full garb going, yes, yes.
I genuinely would not put it past them to do some kind of like that music and does the mandible claw, and it's just the same thing they've done in the build, but afterwards it'll have no dramatic weight. But regardless, we will see. Now, beyond some problematic things about the Jewish people secretly taking over the world, what do you think Tyson Fury is going to say on Raw tonight?
Bit of homophobia is usually good for that as well, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Little scamp. This is a really interesting move from WWE. They'll probably script it to the high heavens, but as a guy like Tyson Fury, who has a record of getting on microphone and saying some pretty off-color things,
very entertainingly.
Very entertaining guy. Very charismatic guy, it has to be conceded. But like this segment or whatever they're going to do with Braun could be really, really fun, or it could be an absolute disaster. I think it's secretly the most compelling thing on the show for that reason, because it's really easy to see the wheels falling off, right? And Fury just losing it, going off script, forgetting his lines, just going mental, trying to ad-lib something, and Braun being like, oh, you're going to get these hands, because he's trained by WWE, so all he knows how to do is say buzzwords. It could be fun. I think we'll see some kind of silly George Mizanin showdown with 400 nerds from the back separating them. Could be good, maybe.
The mass brawl is surely the route to take, Ben Roy.
I think that AJ Styles and the OC are going to come down, and he's going to be like, we got to be friends now, and then they beat them up, and then that's that. I think they become friends at the end of the segment, and then that's that. It's very unsatisfying, like the whole Big Show Shaquille O'Neal thing.
That's not a bad shout at all.
That's
Ben
a
Roy.
really good shout, yeah.
Oh, well. They're hardly the undisputed era at this point, are they?
Yeah. No, they're really not. But I tell you what, that level of cynicism has made me and Sidgwick redundant.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Yeah, no, the OC are just kind of a punching bag act. Although it's kind of weird, though, like on the pay-per-view last night, rather than having Braun, who they're seemingly building up for this Fury program, pin, I don't know, Carl Anderson, he doesn't need to be protected. They just had that stupid DQ for the 3-on-1 beatdown. It was nonsense. Complete toot.
It was the weirdest thing because a DQ finish ordinarily is there to drive fan support behind like the vengeful quest to the babyface.
Yep.
But the Viking Raiders have defeated the OC resoundingly several times, so there's no drama there whatsoever. I've got no idea what that segment was about, but I love the idea. Tyson Fury can talk. Perversely, I love the idea of, none of these like wrestlers, these like little worker bees that we've got. You can't cut a promo. Tyson Fury, very problematic. You get a live mic.
Yay!
Hey, that should be ridiculous.
But you, Cedric? No.
No, absolutely not.
Sorry, Cesaro.
You're not allowed to talk. Not you either, Cesaro. Sorry. You're only a wrestler. You're not a star, which is the new mentality of the company, apparently.
Yeah.
He was on the watch along.
Well, yeah, that's because that's all he's good for in Vince's eyes.
Do you know who else was on the watch along? Sean Waltman. That was great.
He was absolutely ace, just absolutely ripping that pay-per-view to shreds as if it was his own anus.
Hey.
That was my favourite thing.
I wish he'd rip that jort-wearing nerd Pat McAfee to shreds, but I'll see to him later.
On the subject of nerds, that gives me a nice segue. We had a lot of tears from Bayley and Sasha Banks' great heel work. And they were very emotional after their respective matches. Like, where do they go next? What happens here? Because they've either won and dropped or unsuccessfully challenged for the top titles of the respective divisions. And now they're kind of both losers. They've just turned heel. Where does this act go next, if anywhere?
Surely this is some sort of faction thing, but because it's the weird SmackDown Raw thing on Survivor Series, so maybe we get some sort of big team Charlotte and Becky versus team Sasha and Bayley for the SmackDown when everyone else is off in Saudi Arabia, like sort of thing just before then. Maybe they have some big match there. But I don't really know where this goes unless somehow Sasha finds another opportunity to get a shot at the belt. But
that's what Hell in a Cell's for. That's the last stand, isn't it?
Yeah, but
that's the blow off.
But then they had a disqualification in the Hell in a Cell, so I don't know what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, they don't seem to have a clue.
I think they're just going to have like 2 maybe big team matches or just a tag team match to buy off, and then we forget about it and we move on to Lacey Evans back in the main event.
Yeah, I think there is a very strong chance that these feuds are now over and that Sasha and Bayley will maybe retreat back to the tag ranks, which to me is a tremendous waste of Sasha Banks, who has been handled very well since returning. I thought she'd have won the belt in her first match back at SummerSlam, but the Bayley thing is particularly confusing to me because why the hell was she wrestling as a babyface against Big Chaz Flair? She was selling, she was working from beneath for most of it. She had a couple of comeback spots. She was showing fire and all this stuff. And then the one bit of cheating she tries to do leads to her defeat with the big boot and the figure eight and so forth. And then afterwards, she's just crying. She's just crying because she's near her hometown. So let's have her cry. She's 40 miles away from home.
I thought possibly the tearful aftermath of that match was maybe indicative of Bayley sort of feeling bad about the way that her character and her persona has changed and shifted since Sasha Banks arrived back on the scene.
Yeah.
Sorry, were these tears of atonement possibly? Do they realise that maybe Bayley just doesn't have it in her to play heel? We're seeing glimpses, but it just hasn't really worked as much as I thought it would. So possibly a baby face. Maybe they could eventually do the feud with Sasha Banks, because the problem with Sasha and Bayley challenging for those tag team titles is that they do not like doing heel versus heel programs, and the new tag team champions are heels.
Of course, yeah. All of a sudden, just because they're heels now. No turn, nothing like that. Yeah, they're in a weird situation. The Sasha versus Becky match was obviously outstanding. It was comfortably the best thing on the show.
Loved it.
Really, really good stuff. Really creative use of spots within a match that's been done, 40 odd times now. Impressive that they're still able to come up with ideas.
What I loved about that match as well is that, for me, more than headlining WrestleMania 35, which is a crazy thing to suggest, this, for me, was the absolute pinnacle of Becky Lynch's year. For her to stay relevant, over, and exciting in this system for this long, she deserves all the credit in the world. But you know what? It isn't just Raw, an episode of Raw that's happening tonight. You know what else is on?
What's that, Michael?
Cocktails. Ooh!
Scrooge McCuck back on the scene. Huey, Dewey, and Cucky.
What is happening with Rusev? How is he going to respond to Bobby Lashley? Is this remotely salvageable?
No.
I don't think him and Lashley actually see each other. I think we just get maybe he's looking for them or something backstage, and we never actually get sort of the laugh that we want. We get an interview of Rusev, and then we get like a backstage. The camera's not there, but it is there.
Invisible camera.
Yeah, with Lashley and Lana just having a little bit of a kiss.
Something like
it's not a bit of a kiss, though, is it?
It's a full-on smoocher, isn't it?
Well, if you're looking at the rules of narrative storytelling and how things progress, he's going to be fingering her by the end of the night, if you ask me.
Little tickle for
they
the
were
pickle.
all over each other.
They were. It was an absolute mess. The follow the patterns of this storyline so far. Mike Kanellis is obviously getting cucked by the universe, but the other week he gets sort of cucked by Rusev, even though Rusev's not the real dad. Rusev then gets cucked by Bobby Lashley. So who's cucking Bobby Lashley is what I want to know. What about our guy? What about our man? I can't do the Wilborn voice. What about Leo Rush, man? He comes along.
24-year-old piece of gold. I want to be a cowboy, baby.
Get him back on TV. Obviously, I'm being a dick. I have no idea.
Obviously.
I think this whole thing is completely unsalvageable. It is veering towards so bad it's good territory for me. I actually really like Bobby Lashley. Like, I love the Braun feud. I love the stuff like the crazy assault course and the tug of war in the Braun feud. The assault course was the Sami Zayn feud ages ago, but they just keep getting the guy wrong, don't they? Instead of going, hey, look at this freak athlete who's made of marble and was really good when you had Leo as a mouthpiece. Look at this goofy cut guy who we're going to book in a 15-minute rest hold match and not let him do any of his fun power.
It's kind of like he got squashed out by Balor WrestleMania for Balor to have the belt, and then Balor gets destroyed by the Fiend, and then the Fiend just become a wet fart, and now that
disgusting.
all of that is just like being wasted.
You imagine Bray Wyatt doing a wet fart.
I mean,
shut up, man. Bobby Lashley is kind of a more underrated sports entertainer than he's given credit for. I'm with you. I think it's morbidly entertaining. Very much car crash TV. I put in an article that you can check out on whatculture.com/WWE that I think it's about the disturbing truth behind Paul Heyman's Raw. And the truth is, it still sucks. I think all of this Cook stuff is kind of a big sex. Now that we've got your attention, watch some of the good wrestling. Or, if you're into this sort of thing, watch the hottest prospect in all of WWE get absolutely ruined beyond recognition at Hell in a Cell. So, yeah, I don't know what they're doing with this whatsoever. Surely there's going to be a match at some point between Rusev and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
I will lose all respect if there's any left for Rusev in the event that he doesn't immediately try and assault Bobby Lashley backstage.
I think we're going to get something along the line. I think we're going to get a sexy hotel room scene, They love doing crap like this, don't they? They love crap like this where Rusev is something on the Titantron and Bobby and Lana are about to get fresh, and then Rusev sees it on the Titantron and he flees out the arena, and then he gets beaten up with like popcorn and champagne.
I absolutely
and stuff.
adore this idea. Can you imagine lots of loose rose petals smattering the washboard abs of Bobby Lashley as Lana,
baby.
and he's sort of got his arms behind his head, big banter, Bobby,
Fight Bobby.
Ready to plow. Ready to plow.
Ready
Please
to
put
do
that.
damage. CJ's going to be... Well, she's going to be in rough shape after this one, isn't she? Oh, well. We'll see what happens.
Ben Roy, what do you think's going to happen?
I think that the camera's going to go round, and they've already done it in a locker room somewhere.
In a locker room!
Yeah, just, there's locker rooms in these arenas. Just done it in a locker room
Grosser
somewhere.
than our idea.
Yeah.
Bit of post-coital bliss, is it?
Yeah, we're going to get the whole zip the old jeans off or something like that, walking along, and then Rusev just standing there, just giving them, for the audio people, just giving them the evil stare, just like, what are you doing, and just be angry, and then maybe they punch each other for a bit and get split up by all the referees.
We know how fond Lana is of the
So
Wisconsin
you're telling me
wheelbarrow.
that we're going to have 2 pull-apart angles, the same angle twice on Raw?
Well, no.
Come on, Benroy.
Never. That was a joke, Benroy.
Because the other one is going to be a bit more different. It's going to be backstage.
Indeed. Last question. Who will be the last woman standing? Between Lacey and Evans and Natalya, we've got last woman standing match.
Lacey
right?
Evans.
Switch on.
No.
You know who you remind me of there?
Who's that?
You know the angry video game nerd?
Oh, yeah.
He came out, right, and when they announced that they were doing an all-female reboot of Ghostbusters.
Yes.
He just went, I refuse
Oh, my goodness.
to review it. As if there wasn't, an all-male one led by Zach Galifianakis or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you would have watched that 'cause there's blokes involved. You sexist, misogynist
Hey,
pig.
come on. It's Lacey Evans and Natalya. This feud stinks. It's a two-star special written all over it, isn't it? This feud is based around Lacey Evans doing a crap sharpshooter. And here's the thing about that sharpshooter and how precious it is to Natalya as well. She can't even do the bloody move well. She looks like trash, and she's been doing it all her goddamn life as well. It's ridiculous. It's awful. I hate this. It's a feud that exists just because. It's a feud that will be on this show because they need to fill 15 minutes. The match is going to absolutely suck. Asuka versus Nikki Cross from NXT. This will not be. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. This most certainly will not be. I'm glad it's ending. That's all I can say.
Who
It's so
says it's
boring.
ending? Who said it's ending, Andy Murray?
Oh, God.
Ben Roy Turner. Who do you think is going to be the last woman standing?
I think Lacey Evans is going to win, maybe just by some tomfoolery. I don't know. Maybe that really bad spot they do these days where they roll the announcers table onto people and it's meant to be this big drastic thing like, oh, this cardboard table is on them. They're going to just do that.
If it's like the Wizard of Oz thing, how long are Lacey's Evans' legs are going to peek out the bottom of that table?
Yeah.
Maybe they're revolting enough to do a psych gag. Maybe he's revolting as I am. Yeah, it's a funny one, this. It's got my interest peaked to an extent because I get worked by a stipulation. I wouldn't be a WWE fan if, when next year's Hell in a Cell rolls around, I'll still be, Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
Knowing full well what happened this year. I did the exact same thing this year, knowing full well what happened last year.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of game for this match. Lacey Evans might really, brain Natalya over the back with, a bacon sheet or something, and
I'll
I'm
take
kind
that.
of on board for that because Natalya's boring lol. That concludes our Raw review, unless you guys are very interested in the character arc of someone I've missed.
No.
Nope.
Character arcs don't exist in WWE, so I'm good.
Rey Mysterio is kind of on SmackDown, so I doubt there'll be any follow-up to that.
Yeah. No Cain Velasquez showing up.
I think it would have been promoted at this point to pop a rating.
Yeah. I was thinking with the Tyson Fury stuff, with the Bobby Lashley stuff, this has the potential to be a really high banter show, and I'm really relishing waking up tomorrow morning, putting this bad boy on double speed because it's Raw, and enjoying the hell out of whatever crap comes
Maybe
our
the
way.
tag champions defend their belts. Who knows?
I've forgotten who they are. This whole Raw, given what a complete and utter disaster Hell in a Cell was, for me, it's kind of like Schadenfreude at Christmas.
Yeah.
How can they possibly get any worse? Let us know in the comments. In the meantime, you can follow us all at WhatCulture WWE on Twitter.
You can.
Where can he follow you?
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for the Hamlet probably liked Hell in a Cell.
Nerd. Ben Roy Turner, where can they find you on Twitter?
Just follow me at Ben Roy Turner. Just my name.
Pure and simple, just like the man himself. You can follow me at Sidgwick again. You can follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. This has been the Raw preview. How much more can they mess everything up? Goodbye.